Our next speaker was assigned as a dentist to the 35th Dental Squadron, 35th Medical Group, Misawa Air Force Base, Japan, from August 2007 to August 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Major Merrill Allen.
Good evening, Consul General Ito, Mrs. Ito, Colonel Buck, distinguished guests, fellow servicemen and families. It is a great pleasure to be here to speak to you and share some stories and pictures that I hope will bring back many great memories for many of you. Consul General Ito, Colonel Buck, thank you for this wonderful reception, for your warm expression of gratitude and for the work you do to serve your country and ours in furthering our great relationship with the nation of Japan. I've been very excited for the opportunity to express my gratitude to you as a representative of Japan for the amazing experience I had being stationed for 4 years in northern Japan, serving alongside members of the Japan Air Self-Defense Force and living among some of the most incredible people in the world. When I learned that my first assignment following my dental residency program would be Misawa Air Base, Japan, I was beyond excited. I had heard so many great things about Japan from my older brother, who had also been stationed at Misawa 10 years earlier as an F-16 fighter pilot. He's flying the second jet in this picture over Lake Toya. At least he claims that's him. My ties to Japan actually go back much further than this, though. My grandfather, who was also a dentist in the Air Force, served in Okinawa when my mom was a young girl toward the end of the Korean War. Still to this day, my mother has many fond memories of her time in Japan, which she has shared with me since I was a boy. One of those great memories was the time she spent going with my grandmother to help teach at a local school for the blind and deaf. I'll admit I was nervous to go at first. This would be my first time ever traveling overseas, outside of the United States. Not only that, but I would be taking my wife and 3 small children to live in a land that was so foreign to me. I was not sure what to expect. It did not take long before any fear or anxiety I had would be relieved. I have never met a people that are so friendly and who show so much hospitality to those who visit their country, even if they don't speak their language. We love to tell our family and friends about the Japanese people. We learn so much from them about respect, honor, traditions, and family values. Some of our favorite examples to share are things you would likely never see here in America, like the taxis, which are all immaculately clean on the inside, complete with fancy white doilies on the seat headrests, each one with a driver very sharply dressed in his uniform, including a tie and white gloves. There was the lady who owned our favorite little produce shop, who gladly closed her store just so she could walk my wife down the street to show her how to get to her next destination, using hand gestures and drawings since she didn't speak any English. Or the gas station attendant, who would promptly fill your car with gas while cleaning all your windows. Then he would walk out into the street to stop oncoming traffic, wave you onto the street, and then bow to you as you drove off. He did not do this for any kind of tip or extra money. He simply did it because he took great pride in his work and in serving others, which it seemed like everyone in Japan does, no matter what their job is. I could spend hours telling you stories of how much we loved living in Japan, experiencing their beautiful culture and landscape, enjoying all their festivals and all kinds of different food on a stick, trying to relax at the onsen, the 100-yen store, karaoke, crazy roller slides or other unattended park rides that would never be legal in the States. and getting to know the most incredible people through experiences such as international scouting events and student exchange programs. I mean, who else in the world can grow different types of rice in a field and produce a picture like this? They are simply amazing. Let me share just a few stories. We had the great opportunity to sponsor 2 teenage Japanese girls as part of a student exchange program organized through our church. We had so much fun getting to know Yurina and Shiori as they got to practice their English skills with an American family. We taught them how to carve Halloween pumpkins, and they taught us how to use the funny photo booths at the mall. They, along with every other Japanese woman and girl, just loved our kids' blonde hair and blue eyes. They returned on their own the following year to visit us in Misawa. In our last year there, they invited us to come see the sights and enjoy the cherry blossoms in their hometown of Hirosaki. They became like adopted daughters to us. We also enjoyed developing a friendship with our mama-san, Eiko-san, who loved and cared for our very energetic children. She was especially a huge help to my wife, Janine, when we had our youngest daughter, Emma, and during a challenging time that would soon follow. Shortly after Emma was born, I received the news that I would be deployed for 8 months to Afghanistan. Her help around the house helped Janine keep it together while I was gone. I will never forget the day I left the war-torn country of Afghanistan to come home. As I flew over Tokyo and looked down at that island nation, I was in awe at the realization that this was also once a war-torn country. It seemed almost unbelievable that the people of this nation were once considered our enemy. And here I was, truly feeling like I was coming home. Not just because this was where my wife and children were, but because of the love I felt for the Japanese people and how much love I felt from them. I was filled with gratitude for the progress, forgiveness, and friendship that had developed between our countries. Although the nature of today's wars are much different than those of the past, it also filled me with hope that we can work together to establish more peace throughout the world. One last experience. One day during my final year in Misawa, I was right in the middle of a dental surgery, extracting a patient's wisdom teeth, when suddenly the whole hospital started to shake violently. We had experienced earthquakes before, but nothing like this. This was huge, and it seemed to go on forever. We tried to cover our patient to protect him from things that were flying out of the cupboards, and we held on tight, hoping that the building would not collapse on us. Obviously, the day was March 11th, 2011. Although we could hear the sirens blaring after the earthquake finally stopped, we really had no idea what was about to happen. Many of us did not know the extent of what happened until the following day. We had been sent home to care for our families. The whole region was without power. We had no TV, no phone service, no internet access. Word eventually spread via radio broadcasts that the Sendai airport was underwater. Eventually, reports of mass destruction near Hachinohe, just 40 minutes south of us. We couldn't believe it. We spent a cold and fearful night with no heat, cuddled up as a family in one room as the large aftershocks continued constantly, waking us every 30 to 40 minutes, each time sending adrenaline rushing through us as we waited to hear if the tsunami was headed for us next. The next morning, I went back to the hospital, which was one of the few buildings being run by generator power. I got online and sent a quick note to our family back home to let them know we were okay. Then I got on the news and watched the video coverage of what had happened. I could not believe what I was seeing. My heart instantly broke for the people whose suffering I was witnessing. In the next few days, Misawa became one of the main hubs for search and rescue units coming in from all over the world. Although the base leadership tried to figure out how we could continue to take care of our mission, the only thought on everyone's mind was, how can we help our Japanese friends and neighbors? Some close friends of mine were instrumental in eventually setting up our base's contributions to Operation Tomodachi. Buses were chartered and daily trips were arranged to take work crews to different sites to aid in the cleanup efforts and bring food and supplies to those in need. I was fortunate to join with many U.S. servicemen and their families on several of these trips. These are all pictures from those events. We were all so happy to be able to get down in the mud and help, even though at the end of each trip it seemed as though we had only scratched the surface of the massive task that lay before our Japanese friends. My great admiration for these people grew even more as I watched how they responded to this horrible natural disaster. I was impressed at how orderly they were and respectful of others' property and needs. I witnessed huge lines of people waiting patiently for hours to fill their water jugs at the grocery store or their gas tanks at the few open stations. No honking, no cutting in line, no fighting. As we gathered piles and piles of scattered belongings, they neatly organized the pictures and possessions in hopes that the rightful owner would be able to come and claim them. They would not even consider taking something that didn't belong to them, even in their dire circumstances. They were also incredibly fast at cleaning up and rebuilding. I couldn't help but contrast this with the looting and chaos I saw on the news and the delayed rebuilding I witnessed living in Biloxi, Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina caused mass destruction on the Gulf Coast in 2005. It made what I was witnessing in Japan that much more remarkable. Our thoughts and prayers continue to go out to those who were affected by this great tragedy and for all those who suffer from similar disasters around the world. I wish every U.S. serviceman could have the opportunity to enjoy the experience of serving in Japan. You only have to walk into the entrance of our home here in Colorado to recognize how much we love Japan and the influence our time there has had on our lives. You will always hold a special place in our heart. Consul General Ito, on behalf of my family and all those who have served in Japan, I wish to express to you and the nation of Japan a heartfelt "Domo arigatou gozaimashita." Thank you for your hospitality, your friendship, and your continued partnership for peace. May our relationship continue to grow for many years to come. Thank you.